Charmaine, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's really, really lovely to connect. And I'd love for you to start out with sharing a bit more. What is it that you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Charmaine. I am a Qigong teacher and I'm also a mindfulness teacher. In case some of you don't know, although if you're following, but you probably know what Qigong is. But Qigong is an ancient Chinese moving meditation that combines breath work, it combines massage, intention, and movement to help you release stress, to help you prevent illness and just help you be more grounded and present in your life. So I teach that now. I have my own business, so I teach it online. I also do in-person classes and in-person events. And I also like to focus on helping people specifically with mental health. I do have a mental health background, so I was a psychiatric nurse for 8 years, but then I left the hospital because when you work in the hospital for a while, you see that giving medications doesn't help the whole picture. So I got really interested in leaving the hospital to do more holistic healing methods, and then I just fell in love with qigong, and yeah, now I teach it to people with primarily with depression, especially if you have some sort of high functioning depression or high functioning anxiety, as I call it, to help you just feel more joy in your life, even if you're working, even if you do what you think you should do, but you still feel sort of like stuck in your life. I love helping people with that.
Oh my God, that is so relatable. I think that, so many of us are kind of what you said, high functioning, but inside there's a lot going on.
Right, right. It's like on the outside, you feel like you have everything together and you could smile, you always say, I'm good, I'm fine, but on the inside, you might have a lot of anxiety, you might have a really harsh inner critic. Maybe you're a perfectionist and so you never ask for help, but I find those people because I'm that kind of person myself, so I feel like those kind of people tend to suffer quietly because they just never ask for help. So I really wanted to help people who struggle with that.
I love that. And I love that you're sharing kind of, I was thinking that because so many times, right, we come to teaching or doing something that, was a part of our journey.
Mm.
So you said that you kind of, you felt like that yourself or you went through that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still learning myself, but qigong, like at first qigong helped me because I had a knee injury because I love fitness. Like I used to be a personal trainer, like I have so many interests, but I used to love well, I still love running. I do a lot of CrossFit and rock climbing. But then eventually I got a bad knee injury and I couldn't do those things anymore. So Qigong, I learned about it and it helped me move. Like it was like the only thing I could do to help me move. So it helped me a lot with my physical body. And then over time, I realized, oh, this is really helpful for my emotions and this is really helpful for my mental health. So it became more of a meditative practice for me. The first thing I want to say is, if you do have a calling to leave, I believe that it's there for a reason. So I believe that you're supposed to answer it some way. Like you're meant to do something more for yourself. So I always think if you have a calling, it's there for a reason. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say though is answering that calling though is not easy. Like when you're living in alignment, it will expose a lot of doubts that you and insecurities you have about yourself because you're doing something against the norm. So if you take any unconventional route, it's gonna be very uncomfortable because everyone around you, first of all, is gonna judge you. They're gonna doubt you. They're going to think you're crazy. When you learn to settle into that gentleness of movement, and I feel like it translates into gentleness with yourself and just learning that it's okay to be slow and it's okay to pause and it's safe to rest and regulate yourself, because when you do take the time to do that, like if you do a full if you do a Qigong flow, even if it's like a few minutes, at the end of it, you immediately notice a shift. And I think it's a good reminder that, hey, we need the break, and the break is healing. Like healing comes when you have a break, you know. And it helped me with grief and anxiety and just a bunch of stuff in my life.
Yeah, that we all go through and feel, and part of it is it's kind of like a part of life, meaning I think it's also a false, like sometimes we feel even more pressure if we start to think that we need to have this kind of everyday filled with ease. And, if we have any of this come up, that, somehow it distresses or it can add more anxiety or stress to even have that expectation, that we will attain this perfect balance, or that there won't be that yin and yang or the opposite in our days. And that's, I guess, one of the philosophies or underlying principles that I also have come to appreciate. I think that Qigong, just that yin and yang, just gives it kind of words, or, you can call it the opposite, right? Embracing kind of the two sides of the life and the opposites, and appreciating a little bit that some of that will always be there, like the day and
Mhm.
night, and the quiet and the loudness, or summer and winter.
Right, right, absolutely. Like there's always going to be, you need both. Like I
Mhm.
do appreciate the yin and yang a lot, because it helps me with my life, because it helped me see like, oh, I'm way too young. Like I was like always wanting to do a lot of things. I always wanted to succeed in my business and my work. And it just led to burnout. And it's like when you go too much into one extreme, then you're going to be forced to go to the other extreme. And yeah, you do need to like, regulate that. And there's always going to be a little bit of both, but it's necessary to have both.
Yeah, so you had a lot of energy, like what you're describing, all those activities, and that must have been very frustrating to have, when you have something happen to your knee that pretty much puts a halt on a lot of the activity.
Right, right. Like I loved being really active. I'm very like young in my personality, like more masculine energy for a female. So like I was always kind of someone who likes to be successful, or I always wanted to achieve things. Like when I was a nurse, I was in leadership, and I was always just like involved in organizations and doing things. And then when fitness, that also carried over. Like I like to run a lot of marathons and did a lot of obstacle course races, and tried out for American Ninja Warrior, and I just really liked a lot of things. So yeah, that year that I got the knee injury, I ran a marathon. I did this thing called Ragnar Relay, which is like a 200-mile relay race that you split with 12 people. And then I did Spartan races, and then my knee just like said stop and gave out.
Wow. Wow. So how was that for you? Was that like, I mean, that kind of is like a big change, right? From you going, achieving, pushing yourself, and now it's kind of like you're stopped in some way.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're so full on like yang energy, and then you go to yin when it's all quiet, then, I felt depressed. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, why I'm not, so, I'm not moving. I wasn't able to do the things I loved, like rock climbing and running and CrossFit. So it was really a hard time for me. Like, I was really depressed. So when I did Qigong, because it was one of the only movements I could do, it really helped me get more present with myself, and be okay with minimal movement and minimal exertion,
Mhm.
which was really hard for me. But it helped me learn to make peace with the quiet, and to make more peace with
Mhm.
with gentle movement, which was not part of my DNA at all.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like life forced you like into the other slow down.
Right, right, exactly. Like if you don't slow down, life will force you somehow to slow down.
And that's very hard. So how did you find Qigong? Okay, so it happened to you. Did you find it afterward, or how did it come into your life?
I know it. I never thought it would go in my life. Like, because so many people don't know what it is, right? So
Yeah,
when I
when you
was
answer, I'd love for you to talk. I know you started talking about it, but maybe you can tell a bit more. What is it? What is Qigong? What is Tai Chi?
Oh yeah, sure. So Qigong and Tai Chi have similar roots in China. So Tai Chi is much younger. It's said to be like a few hundred years old, whereas Qigong is a few thousand years old. It might be even older than that, supposedly. But basically, the way it's categorized is Tai Chi has martial roots, where it was created more as a martial application, so more for combat. Um, and qigong is basically any sort of practice that involves using movement and breath to help with your health and well-being. There are three main categories of qigong. There's martial, there's medical, and there's spiritual qigong. So tai chi is technically a form of martial qigong. So it's basically any sort of movement, breathing practice that helps you with your health and well-being. And Qigong's a part of Chinese medicine, like acupuncture, acupressure, things like that. But there's differences in how it's implemented. So, as you know, Tai Chi is much more structured and choreographed like a dance. Like it's very precise. Like the movements are very particular and structured. It's more kind of like a martial art. And you do the same movement in a sequence, like in a form, like a sequence of movements. Whereas Qigong is more like the repeated individual movements over and over. So it's a little bit more meditative and it could be more intentional. And it also means energy work. Like Qi is your life force energy and Gong means work. So Qigong is more actually focused on your energy flow in the body, while Tai Chi originally was more focused on your ability to fight.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you. And so, how did you come across Qigong?
Right. So when I was a nurse, I was working in the psychiatric unit. So I worked with patients who had depression and anxiety and bipolar and schizophrenia and things like that. And one day, one of my patients was really anxious. So he asked me, "Oh, hey, can you bring a computer in the room and just play a Tai Chi video? Like when I do Tai Chi, it helps me calm down." So I was like, "Oh, Tai Chi, I've never really heard about that. Okay." So I brought the computer in the room. I just found some random YouTube video with Tai Chi, and then I played it, and then I did the video with him. And then at the end of it, I was like, "Oh wow, I feel kind of calm. Like this is relaxing." And in the hospital, nobody even mentioned Tai Chi. Nobody mentions breathing exercises. Like it's crazy. We mostly focus on medication as a primary treatment. So that's planted a seed in my mind of like, oh, this movement can help you relax. So then I left my nursing job in 2020 during COVID. And I remember doing Tai Chi videos at home because it helped me cope with COVID. But Tai Chi got too hard to learn online. I was like, oh, this is so complicated. I don't know what's going on. And then my friend who was into mindfulness, she knew what Qigong was. So she told me about that. So I started looking at Qigong videos online and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like it's more gentle, it's easy to learn. And so I started doing that. And then I was like, oh, now I want to teach it.
Totally. That's awesome. And yeah. I know what you're talking about. So if you want to do it more on your own, at your own pace, like Qigong is easier uh, than Tai Chi. Like you said, it's a sequence and the intricacies and the stepping. It looks easy, but it's not.
I know it looks really easy, but oh my gosh, there's a lot more nuances and intricacies than you realize. I learned the 24 style Yang form in person because I learned from this martial arts teacher in person. It took me a year to learn the 24 form. I still am not, I'm definitely not good at it. I feel like it would take like a few years to be really adept at it, but
Mhm.
it's a beautiful form. Like once you get it, you
Mhm.
get into this flow that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You just have to have the patience to like learn all the steps, but once you get it, it's like really beautiful.
Yeah, it really kind of works your memory and challenges like different things, in your brain that you don't use. But then once you learn it, does become this moving meditation that you can start. kind of flowing through it more and more. And I mean, it's a lifelong practice, right? About
Right.
getting better or mastery. That's like, there's like, as I practice Tai Chi, and it's like, okay, then you notice the next level, the next nuance, like the principles, because there's also the mindfulness aspects, like you said, the meditative and calming and relaxing benefits. And you can definitely keep perfecting it all your life.
Oh
So,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that would be a lifelong practice. I was like, oh my gosh, there's always something new to learn with it.
that's what I love, because I feel like it's something like, if you're looking for a movement practice that, and meditation, and maybe you're a person where it's harder for you to sit down, right, and meditate in that kind of standard way that we think of meditation and mindfulness, that, and if you realize you don't never do it really because it's just really hard for you, that the movement, this moving meditation, I think is a beautiful um, way to actually gain the mindfulness benefits. But you're moving in this, here, because your mind kind of can focus on the movements, on the self-awareness. And it's a different mindfulness and meditative practice that could work for somebody that can't just sit down and meditate. Plus, I was thinking, when we all work behind the computer still quite a bit, and you sit so much, and
Oh yeah.
sitting is like, I don't think we really kind of hear, yeah, sitting is bad, but we just kind of like brush it off, but we don't fully realize how bad it is, and how like these effects start to accumulate, especially with every year. And so if you sit all day and then you meditate sitting, right? Again, that's like sitting on top of sitting. And this
Right.
is, I feel like this is also what like for me, this is why I was interested in Tai Chi and Qigong, was also from that aspect that you just like, I mean, the sitting has to stop at some point of time, otherwise you're sitting like all day long. So tell us a little more about your journey. So did you go into nursing right out of high school, or kind of how did kind of the inflection points even unfold, for you getting into nursing?
Right. So I I never was really interested in medicine. I was always interested in psychology and human behavior, um but my mom is a nurse. Like my family has a lot of nurses, and she really encouraged me to go to nursing, and so I was just like, oh, okay, I'll go to nursing. Um so I did go into nursing school right after high school, and then after nursing school I just started working as a nurse, but I never wanted to go to a medical unit. So I went to psychiatry right after I graduated, and I really enjoyed psychiatry. Like I like it because it's like I'm still helping people who have mental health challenges. Like I don't know, I fell in love with taking care of people who have mental health struggles. There's something about, like, I feel like ever since I was young, I always wanted to help people in need, and I was sort of like a person that people would come to feel better and ask for advice, kind of thing. So I was drawn more to mental health. So yeah, I was working in the unit for 8 years, and just what I saw over time, though, was that it wasn't really quite the way of treating mental health that I thought it would be. I imagined in my mind we would be teaching patients more coping skills and teaching them more about how to actually address their mental health issues. But when you're in a hospital setting, it's really like crisis mode. Like people are in danger of hurting themselves or hurting others, or they're not safe to take care of themselves at home. So so the primary treatment is medication, and I just felt like, I kept seeing people come back to the hospital. I feel like they never got better, and it was just frustrating. Like I was doing it for so long, like, but it just got to a point like, am I even making a difference? Like, am I even helping people? Like, I'm just giving them meds, and I see people develop addictions to medication. They just become so dependent on the meds, and they just seem to get worse, which is not always the case. I know there's a time and place for it, and people, especially if you're at risk for hurting yourself or hurting other people, it does help you to have a little bit of balance in the moment. But to me, it just wasn't a long-term solution. And it didn't go to the root of why you have the depression or why you have the anxiety in the first place. So I just can't do a job that I'm not in alignment with, where I feel like I'm part of a system that's not helping solve the problem. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I had an inner voice that was telling me, you know what? We're not meant to do this anymore. You need to go to the root. Like, you need to find what could help prevent these issues from getting worse. So I just listened to that intuition, and so I left and eventually found my way to Eastern medicine and Qigong. And I just loved how Eastern medicine is really focused more on the root cause and very holistic, like looking at the whole picture of health rather than just, oh, you have a symptom, let's just give you a pill to help mask the symptom. So it just resonated with me a lot more. But yeah, it's kind of a lot of things there, but yeah.
No, so you were really called to kind of um, look at and be more involved with the holistic aspect. So tell us what happened. Did you quit? And what is a journey kind of like that journey in between? Because, I think a lot of people will be able to relate, no matter what field or function they are in, where they feel that lack of alignment. And um, I also want to tell more stories about what is that middle, because that middle can be messy, as you figure out what is it. It's can be painful, it's not easy. And so I'd love for you to share, what so you quit and what happens next.
Oh man,
So you're
when you
trying
say
and beta
messy,
testing.
yeah, when you say messy, oh man, it is very messy. The first thing I want to say is, if you do have a calling to leave, I believe that it's there for a reason. So I believe that you're supposed to answer it some way. Like, you're meant to do something more for yourself. So I always think if you have a calling, it's there for a reason. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, though, is answering that calling, though, is not easy. Like, when you're living in alignment, it will expose a lot of doubts that you and insecurities you have about yourself because you're doing something against the norm. So if you take any unconventional route, it's gonna be very uncomfortable because everyone around you, first of all, is gonna judge you. They're gonna doubt you. They're going to think you're crazy. They're gonna, especially me coming, I was at UCLA, so it's a really nice hospital, and everybody, my parents were so proud of me, and you get paid well there, so everybody, and I was in a job that everybody respects, like a nursing job, like everybody praises you for having that kind of job. And so when you leave it, you just have to be prepared to face the judgment of people and the doubts that people have, because if you don't have security within about your decision, other people's doubts are going to mess with your head. So you might start second guessing yourself. So it was, but I was able to leave, though, too, because while I was in my nursing job, I was building my business already. I was doing something different, though. I was a life coach first.
Okay.
And so I got really
Wait,
interested. Oh, sorry.
wait, so you are starting to take steps when you have the nursing job. So you
Right.
are not happy. Let's just like summarize it, like to put it simply, right? And you got an idea that you want to be a life coach?
Mhm. Right. I know there's a lot of pieces to the story, but before I left nursing, I started to work per diem. So I only worked like a few shifts a week so I could build my business, because I got really into life coaching. Because life coaching, for those of you who don't know, a life coach is basically someone who could help you achieve a goal that you have. Like, therapy is more about the past and life coaching is more about the future. So life coaching is really helpful for helping you overcome any blocks that you have to achieve a goal.
And
And
it
I
makes
like,
so much, sorry to interrupt, but it makes so much sense because, as you said, you always knew you wanted to help people. And you
right,
think about your mom kind of that be nursing being modeled to you, and I was thinking, did you ever want to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist, yourself? But so it makes so much sense. So keep going. So you kind of had that idea in your mind as you're working and able to kind of carve out that space to like start. Um, did you train for a life? Did you take courses for life coaching or kind of how? Yeah.
Right, right. Like I got into life coaching because I had a lot of mental health challenges myself. Like I had a lot when I was a personal trainer, as I was a nurse, like I had a lot of self-doubt. So I looked up a podcast on self-doubt, and then this podcast called the Life Coach School podcast showed up, and I listened to that podcast episode on self-doubt like maybe like 100 times. Like it just resonated with me, and it was the first time I ever heard anybody talking about how your mindset could change your reality. And so I got really interested in that, and I applied it to myself first, and then when I saw that when I changed my mindset, it changed my behavior. Then I decided, oh, I want to be a life coach because this is what I've been wanting to do with psychology. Like I wanted to help people change their behaviors, which is from the root, like from the mind. So I went the life coaching route, and then I became certified. I did a program where you're required to be in training for like a year, and you have to do a certain amount of hours, and it's like a year-long mentorship. So it was a good program to train you and everything. So I became certified in that. And then I was already getting clients when I was a nurse. So I had about 9 clients one-on-one before I left my nursing job. So it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence to leave the job. Because I would definitely say, like, before you quit, like, build your business first. It could be helpful so you at least have some idea, some proof of concept of what you're doing, and you know that people are wanting help from what you're offering. Because you could quit cold turkey, but it could dysregulate your nervous system quite a bit if you're not really having clients yet. So it's nice to have your job first a little bit.
So that's amazing. You kind of already built up to having some clients, and then were you also and then you quit like
Yeah.
nursing and
Yeah,
continue.
like when it was COVID, I started getting canceled from work because when we were in the psychiatry unit, we weren't taking psych patients because everyone was focused on the COVID patients. So they shut down our unit. So I was like canceled a few times from work. So I was like, well, I'm being canceled. So anyway, so might as well just build my business. So it kind of gave me a good push to leave.
Okay, okay. And then do you still continue doing life coaching and or kind of how, or if you transition, how do you transition into the next thing, or kind of how does the next thing evolve?
I, right. I know there's so many evolutions with what I went through, but when I was a life coach, I was helping people a lot with emotional eating. And what I found was that if you want to stop emotional eating, you can't just think your way through it. Like it's like telling people to stop smoking by telling them, oh, just stop. It's not a cognitive thing, it's more in the body. So I was realizing, oh, people aren't comfortable sitting with these uncomfortable emotions without food. So that's why I was more interested in Qigong at the time too, because I was like, they need a more somatic practice, like a body-based practice where they can be comfortable in their body and they know how to sit with their feelings. And I would tell them to meditate, like I would tell them to do sitting meditation, and they hated sitting meditation. Like they want to crawl out of their skin. They can't sit still. So I incorporated Qigong into my coaching for my emotional eating clients, and it helped them much easier to sit with those uncomfortable emotions. So I incorporated it first into my life coaching, and then later on, I was like, oh, I just want to focus on the mental health aspect and the qigong rather than focusing on weight loss, because I was helping people with weight loss too. So I was like, oh, I don't really want to focus on weight loss. Like I want to focus more on the qigong and the mental health. So now I'm building a program that's sort of like combining all of it, like Qigong, mindfulness, life coaching. Like it sort of combines all of it to help you overcome depression and anxiety. But yeah, it's like all the elements put together.
I love that. That sounds beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
it because I mean, it is. I feel like this journey, of you truly creating kind of that dream job. There's not necessarily like a template, that somebody will give you, and it's this alchemy and the process that happens, like this evolution.
Right. Like I never imagined I would know what the heck Qigong is or teach it. Like I never even knew what that was. But I think as long as you just get started on the journey and you're open-minded, like you'll see how it unfolds and it will teach you where you need to go. And as long as you follow it and trust it, then I think it will lead you to ultimately what can make you feel more fulfilled.
Mhm. Yeah, coming together for sure. And you were talking kind of about the self-doubt, like when you are transitioning and when you are kind of just taking that one step, then the next step without kind of knowing the perfect picture of how it will come together, what money you will make, or how it will turn out, right? You don't like it's when others are, of course, to have the same questions, and it's like you also sometimes feel like you're crazy. You're like, what the heck are you doing? Like, are you making a big mistake, right? And it's so normal.
Oh, right. Yeah. This is why before I teach any tool, I only teach my tools because I've done it on myself because my brain has so many doubts, so many fears, so much criticism. Like anytime you do something that's out of the norm from society, you're gonna think something's wrong with you. Like you're gonna be second guessing all your decisions. You're gonna have so much doubt. So it's really it's not easy, but if you do the work, you develop this confidence and trust in yourself that you never would have developed if you never decided to go for what you want to do.
Mm. Where do you, and thank you for sharing that. Where do you feel like you are in that kind of self-confidence and kind of that assurance journey, that okay, am I that I know I'm going in the right direction? I think that's hard for people, right? Especially as they are starting the transition. Like, what is a validation that, okay, yes, I am going in the right direction?
Yeah, it's still a daily struggle to be honest. I think if you're always growing in some way, the doubt will always come. So I still feel a lot of doubt, but it's just like I have better tools to help me
Mhm.
learn how to sit with those hard feelings and to not take all those negative thoughts at face value. It's still very challenging though. You do need to do your own practices. Like
Mhm.
I do Qigong every day. I do some sort of meditation or mindfulness every day because if you don't manage your mind every day, it's going to get the best of you. So it's still like a daily practice, and the thoughts and the doubt always it still comes, but um, I think I'm a little better at not letting it consume me and make me quit. Like I haven't quit yet and I'm still alive, so I think I feel pretty accomplished so far. But yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Charmaine. And I think it's awesome because, like, I think also this, like, should the life coach like be perfect, right? If you're a life, like, some people, like, I think we all sometimes don't even verbalize this, like, think, okay, but this person, if they are doing this, that they should be perfect, and then we apply subconsciously. I think even maybe not knowing this narrative and standard to ourselves that we should be perfect at whatever we choose, and that can also prevent us from kind of doing this beta testing, this messy work of trying things out.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially when I was doing life coaching only, I never wanted to make a mistake because it's like who would hire me if I'm over here like looking like a hot mess? Like nobody would hire me, you know? So I would always hide it. Like if I did anything that was a mistake or if I overate one day or whatever, I would always hide it. But that leads you to this circle and cycle of shame, and it leads to that perfectionism, right? So you don't accept yourself, you don't love yourself, your self-worth is only judged by your income or your productivity. So that's a cycle that I'm still learning how to break, but I think I'm learning to be more compassionate with myself and just accepting like, yeah, I make mistakes and I won't let the mistake I won't let the mistake stop me
Mhm.
because that's the most important thing. It's like everybody will make mistakes, everybody is human, but will you let the mistake stop you or make you quit? Cuz it you know, you don't want to quit, like you don't want to stop. So I think it's a big journey of self-acceptance and compassion. I'm still on that journey because it's really hard to not put your productivity, to not put your self-worth with productivity and things like that. But um, people also, which I found, people love it when you're a human. Like when you market yourself and you're vulnerable and you share your struggles, like people really relate to that, and it makes them gain trust in you because they know that you're going through the journey too, and they know that you've lived it and you're living it, so they actually like trust you more. um like there's ways to share about your vulnerability also where you don't want to seem like a complete mess, but at the same time, like you do want to show you're working through it, like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
No,
Yeah.
I love it because I was just pulling up. I just love some of your posts, on Instagram, and that was
Oh
like
my gosh.
exactly what you're talking about, sharing. Like every time you feel like you're not good enough or you have to be perfect to be worthy, when you look at nature, there's nothing perfect about it. It's messy, wild, and it goes whichever way it goes, and nature doesn't care what we think about it. I just like love the depth and um, yeah, what you're sharing. It's beautiful.
Oh, oh my gosh, thank you. Honestly, it was so nerve-wracking for me to post stuff like that, but I I just felt like if I wanted to help people with depression and anxiety, I wanted to show people that I go through it too, and just to help people see they're not alone. Because I think one of the most healing things is to help people see that they're not alone in their healing journey
Mhm.
and that they're not they're not broken. Like I'm also having so many things I'm working on, and I just want to help people see like I'm in it too. Like you're not alone in this. So that's why I think it's so important. It's really much more powerful to share your humanness because it gives people that idea that they're not alone.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we're much more united because the other day I was talking to a friend, and it's kind of been a theme for a while, kind of I can relate to you, and so many people will be able to relate to this conversation because the type A, the high achieving, right? And then plus this narrative, do productivity, right? It's all around us, like people, enforce it and reinforce it all day long. So kind of our nature, the narrative, and then no wonder that and then we overstimulate ourselves with overloading ourselves and our nervous system, then it comes to a crash.
Oh
A
yeah.
crashing halt, and it's kind of like um yeah, I think so many people feel like this, and this kind of then this high standard that we apply to ourselves, and then it's just like I mean, I when I remind myself, like inviting to be more gentle, and that's what I was talking to my friend, that we all just need to be more gentle with ourselves. And
Right.
you know, what you're talking about, the perfectionism is really being hard and having a high standard, right?
Right. And Qigong, honestly, for me was so hard to get into in the beginning because that gentle movement and oh my gosh, like I would just used to think it was so slow at times and I would just be so impatient. But when you learn to settle into that gentleness of movement, and I feel like it translates into gentleness with yourself and just learning that it's okay to be slow and it's okay to pause and it's safe to rest and regulate yourself. Because when you do take the time to do that, like if you do a qigong flow, even if it's like a few minutes, at the end of it, you immediately notice a shift. And I think it's a good reminder that hey, we need the break, and the break is healing. Like healing comes when you have a break, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and honestly, this is like a session about like the advertisement of Tai Chi. But this is what I love about Tai Chi that it teaches, and I think it's probably the underlying also principle for Qigong because it's a part of it is this that relaxation versus the Western way is like pushing hard, and all of this lifestyle is just so much stress that we need the counteraction of kind of the relaxation. You don't like this is partly why I came to Tai Chi and Qigong is because uh I was sitting for hours behind a computer and stressing, and then at the end of the day I had no energy. Like
Mm,
I did walk almost every day for but then I had no energy to go to the gym. I had no I just felt drained, like, at the end of the day, and then at first you think, "Okay, well, I can't move really besides walking because, like, I just don't have the energy." My body just feels like, "Bye-bye." Like, "No, battery drained." And then but this kind of movement, this gentle, this flowing movement actually started making me feel better. And then, because I could do it, and then I actually it's like something that actually is not further draining you as like high impact exercise, but you're able to move your body in all these directions, your joints and like it's supposed to be moved. And it's just like I feel like it supports more your vitality and is energy giving.
right. Right, which is it's so counterintuitive with the Western thought process, because you think that you could only get energized when you do like high intensity movements, but you can get a lot of energy from Tai Chi and Qigong. Like it's so fascinating how energized you could feel from slowing down. Like it's still like it's mind blowing, but it's so interesting how much more energized you could feel when you're not pushing yourself so hard. Like it's very counterintuitive.
Yeah. No, I love that. So tell us, you are working on developing your own program. So you're doing still coaching, but then you also teach um like classes of Qigong in person, although I saw that you are kind of pausing some of it, or kind of what does your day-to-day look like right now when it comes.
Right. I'm actually like I was doing weekly qigong classes that I was renting out a yoga studio, and I was doing my own qigong classes weekly, which I love. Like I love teaching it in person, but I needed a break for myself because I was going through my own depression, especially this past few weeks. I feel like it was hitting me hard, and there was a lot of emotions I was processing through. So I just needed to create some space, and I felt like my body was telling me to focus more on creating a new program online that incorporates mindfulness and qigong, and also just like the breath work and things like that for depression.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, I feel like called to do something more than only the weekly classes. Like I wanted to make some sort of program where people could integrate the qigong in their daily life and use it to for a specific purpose, like use it to help with overcoming depression, because that's what matters most to me. It's like I want you to use qigong as a tool to help you when those negative thoughts are in your mind and help you manage those thoughts. And I think I just needed to pause the classes to put this together and to also take care of myself and just see how that would look like, so I'm like trying to like formulate that. So yeah, at the moment I'm still doing in-person events. Like I do collaborations and I do events with other entrepreneurs, but so I'm still doing that. But yeah, I'm just taking time right now to create the program and to take care of myself in the meantime.
I love that because I mean, it takes energy. I mean, everything takes energy in this life. And I love that you're being intentional and you're kind of recognizing right now, what you can do and what's too much. And when you teach classes in person, yeah, it might seem like just 40 minutes or an hour, but it is you're giving like your energy. Like it is, you have to be there and hold space and, instruct and be there for others. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's so cool. I love it. So what would you recommend, like, let's say somebody who is feeling that lack of alignment, feeling that internal, like you said, the voice, that there's something more, but they don't know what is it. What do
Mm.
you recommend, especially with your life coaching? Like what's the next step they can find to actually find that thing that's meant for them?
Well, I think it's really getting in tune with like getting comfortable with silence for one thing, because intuition speaks when you create space and you actually can pay attention to it and listen to it. So this is my suggestion, but I would encourage doing some sort of daily meditation practice of some sort, whether it's a moving meditation like Tai Chi or Qigong, or a sitting meditation. But you need some quiet time for yourself, because you need to actually know what that inner voice is trying to tell you. So whether it's like just moving in silence or walking in silence, like give yourself spaciousness, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Give yourself that time to do that, and then just see what lights you up. Like, you have to know how to have awareness of your body. And that's why I like Qigong a lot, because it could help you just get in tune with sensations in your body. So I would recommend practicing maybe a body scan every day or something like that, because intuition speaks a lot through the body. So pay attention to what lights you up. Like, you know how you feel when you feel good or when you feel excited.
Mhm.
Notice what makes you excited in your life, and notice what gives you joy in your life. And if you don't know what gives you joy right now, you have to just try a lot of things. Like, try to do something that maybe you were passionate about when you were young, before you had a job. Like, try to do that, whether it was painting or rollerblading or whatever it was. Do something that you were passionate about before, and just try things and see what you enjoy, and then lean into that. And you never know what it might lead to. Like, lean into it, practice it, and the more you practice it, then I feel like more insights will come. Whether it tells you maybe you want to teach painting, or maybe you want to do workshops somewhere. So I would just, yeah, say create space, practice doing body oriented awareness techniques, so you could be in tune with your sensations in your body, and then just pay attention to what lights you up, and just try a lot of things and see what makes you light up.
I love it. Charmaine, how can we follow you, connect with you, and get more of you?
Oh yeah, so my Instagram is Oasis Qigong. So it's OASISQIGONG. And then my website's the same, oasisqigong.com. And I have a YouTube channel. You could just type at Oasis Qigong, and you could find some of my Qigong routines there.
Beautiful. And it will all be linked in the show notes, so you can just navigate easily to those two channels by clicking on the links. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your unique journey.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm excited to share my story. And thank you for inviting me.